Maeya TV. My name is Eligia. I'm your host as usual. Today I'm joined with writer and director James Ridgley, who is here to talk about some of his projects he's done before and tell us about his upcoming, which is very exciting. So, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you here. And I do want to start off by asking you where you grew up and what made you want to join the film industry.
I grew up in West Los Angeles, and back when I grew up, it was like the latchkey kid syndrome. You know, the parents are working. Parents divorced, living with mom, and we have the keys, and we just do whatever we want. You know, we ride bicycles all over the city. We grew up in really a different time than now. You know, we didn't know computers.
No TikTok.
TV had like 7 channels.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not ancient, but still, that was it. So I grew up, with this really physical life of just being out all the time, and I was painfully shy in social arenas, But as far as I had tons of friends, and was out all the time. And in high school, I saw this guy rope walking, and I wanted to learn how to rope walk. How is that done? Because it's amazing, right? And in the meantime, I learned how to juggle in my attempt to try to find people who rope walk that I could finally learn. So I ended up learning both, and I ended up doing a comedy juggling act out of that. So from high school, I went into directly into I knew what I wanted to do in my life, which was a great relief to know that. And I just went full force into practicing and writing jokes and just doing everything 24/7. This was going to be my life. And I did that. And I traveled around the world 5, 6 times, cruise ships, shows in South Africa, shows in Switzerland, all kinds of things doing my comedy juggling act. And then from there, I also did stand-up because that was a natural thing. What can I do to be funny without the props? And that was a big thing, oh, you're a prop comic. Well, no, I want to try to be a stand-up comic. So out of that, I also wrote. And when I started writing screenplays and stuff in TV spec scripts, which was the norm, I found I couldn't sell anything. You write a, with no internet. We were still just trying to contact people, and anyway, it was crazy. So I had a couple of close calls, and in the meantime, I went to film school because I thought I could make my own films if I can't sell a screenplay. And this was, over 30 years ago that I wanted to do this. And out of film school, I ended up with a career in sound because that was like, I love the sound teacher. And I learned so much about sound, so I became a production sound mixer. And that started the whole career of being on set. I mean, I have like 240 IMDb credits for sound. I was on set for, 2 decades, like full time on all these different sets. And the thing about production sound mixing is very intimate. You, the director, and maybe the cinematographer are working the shot. Everyone's prepared the shot, and we're working it. I have my monitor. I'm doing the sound levels. If I don't do it right, you have terrible sound, And working the shot is incredible when you're on set and you work the shot. It's, wardrobe, set dressing, that's all before the shot, So anyway, that led to feeling confident enough to make my own thing. So.
I read that you have a ME certificate as well, so congratulations for your sound. And you've worn many hats too, right? So you were also a writer, you also a director. I do want to talk about this thing that you brought up with me, which was micro budget. And can you tell me a little bit what that is, and then so we can put it into play with your work?
Okay. So I gave up all my sound mixing to do screenwriting only because that was my first love. And I had 2 original TV pilots in development, 3 feature-length films in line for budget, in line for funding, and I was going to fly to New York to direct one of them. So this was all as COVID was happening and post-COVID costs became enormous. And so when all of that fell through, nothing happened. I said, I have to make my own movies because, I'm not going to be here forever. So that's where micro budgeting comes in. Okay, So I said, I'm going to write original stuff. It's going to have to be personal because I have to write it right now and about my life. And it has to fit my house. I have a house. I have bedrooms. I have a living room. I can make it to a psychiatrist's office, which I used for one of my films. And I'm just going to make them. So that's what I did. My first film was called Siblings, about a family at Thanksgiving dinner. Dark comedy about all the problems that happen and all this stuff. And then my second one, I said, I want to make 3 films in 1 year. So I went crazy. The second one I wrote had more exterior scenes, but it was, again, personal. It was about me and my son, who's on the autism spectrum. So he's very high functioning, but I used, things that happened in our lives for the script. And that's called a natural disorder of things.
Yeah. We'll get to that one in just a second because I do want to talk about that. Before this, some of these projects that you were doing leading up to your feature films that you were doing, the first, second, and third one that you're on right now, right? You were also doing some work with like documentaries and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did my own documentary, a short, which opened up at a film festival that opening night, which was really tremendous because we didn't do the whole festival circuit, but we got this one big one, and it was really cool. Yeah. But then nothing happened. I didn't do anything else.
So it's really important because you all these projects led to the one that you've done, right?
Right. Like I used to direct theater back in the day, and I have a director's award for a play I did, and stuff like that.
Because in a natural disorder of things, I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but you did so many things on this project, right? You wrote it.
So micro budget means, you have to, I had 25 hats on set, and I also edited it. And I had a camera, a DP, and a camera assistant. I mean, that was basically it, and me. And I had a boom op. So I did the sound mixing, I had my boom op, and everyone else picked up, I did lights when I could. I got the food. I did almost everything.
Yeah. How was it getting locations for this shoot with micro budgeting and with your idea of what you wanted to show?
Yes. So I had a supermarket scene that was hugely important, and someone who helped me with casting early, I did get some help, had a guy, a good friend who had a little mini market. So we did that, like ultra cheap. So I got that for 3 hours, one night, starting at midnight. So it was a night shoot. It was a night scene, so we did it at midnight until 3 a.m., And then I stole another location to do this outside thing, and then I needed horses. And I had a connection with this woman who is great, and she had a nonprofit having to do with autism, which I didn't even know about when I actually booked it and used her. I found out later, And so I got that ultra cheap. I bargained and said, I'm this poor guy trying to
do this important film, right?
And jumpstart a career.
Yeah. So with this film, obviously there's budget. That's a big struggle on it sometimes. But what else did you find challenging about this film in particular? Because you said it's so personal to you, right?
Yeah. What was challenging was to keep the actors. One of my bigger influences is an actor and an acting coach named John Sarno. So I went to him. I was really young. I was like 18 or 19, and I was shy, the shy kid. And I did this. I had done acting classes before, but this was a professional acting class. And I watched him work. We would come in and do a scene, and I saw, dozens and dozens of scenes. And then he would stop it, and he would work with the actors. And he would make the scenes evolve into something that was amazing, brilliant sometimes. And I had my eye on John Sarno to learn what is he doing that is making this happen. And that's what I try to bring when I'm directing. I don't allow an actor to get by with something that I feel is false or didn't, hit the mark in some way. And, that's what I try to do. That's always in my head. I hope the biggest thing is to have trust with the actor that I'm not going to leave them with a bad take. You know, like we can't move on until we get something that I know will work for the film.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you one of those directors that does take after take after take? Or if you get it on the first, you're like, okay, move on next?
Well, I'm the guy who wants two cameras, and I'm the guy who will stop when there's a false moment, and we'll work that line or that part of it, 3 or 4 or 5 lines, and we'll work it over and over again while camera's rolling. So I'll have a 10-minute, a 20-minute take. I don't care, because I have to get this moment. So
you don't cut right away.
No.
Wait. Yeah.
You know how much time it takes?
Yeah. Yeah, so time to allow it.
You know, roll sound, look at the slate, slate one camera, slate the other camera. It's
that's amazing. For the actual script, how long did it take you to write?
Since these two both were personal and I'm used to writing quick, they probably took me a month or so for a first draft. And then the rewriting usually takes at least a month, maybe longer. And then as I'm getting into production, I'm going to be really looking at it again to do, I might go through 5 drafts by the time, I'm ready to cast and get going. And then in the time that it takes to pre-produce or whatever, pre-production, which I'm doing myself anyway, I might do some tweaking and rewriting.
Did you find any changes while you were filming? Did you change... allow your actors to ad-lib, or do you like to stick to the script?
I don't mind ad-libbing, but I've found, oddly, that they like to stick with the script mostly. I mean, I thought I was going to do a whole film, heavily outlined, but improvised dialogue. And I have Sally Kirkland involved, who is a Golden Globe winning lead actress. This was about 10 years ago when I thought I had my first feature film. And I interviewed with her and told her the story, and I knew so much about it because I outlined, 30-page outline. And I said, but we're going to improvise the dialogue, And she said, no, I don't, can you write out my dialogue? So I said, I'm good. Okay, so I wrote out her dialogue, which meant the scenes she was in, and then I ended up writing the whole thing anyway. So, but I've had years of improv. I'm into improv, but I unbelievably, I found that my writing was what brought these actors on, and they wanted to do it the way it was. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So can we expect this film to come out this year, hopefully?
Yes, this year. I've had difficulties in post-production because I'm still begging and trying to get the right people to come on board for post-production sound and for coloring. Coloring, I have a guy in New York, but I have to download. This was filmed in 6K, so I need to download 4 or 5 terabytes of material to send to him, and so it's for me having to do it all by myself. It starts to get confusing.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a challenge, but did you like it that way, having to control so many elements of it? Did you get what you wanted?
No, I'd rather have $1 million and hire everyone.
Just direct.
Seriously.
Yeah.
To write, direct, edit.
That's it.
That's what I would love to do.
Yeah.
But I can't. If you do that, you wait around for what might never come. And that's my advice. Do it. Greenlight yourself, because it won't happen. No one else is going to give you a chance, unless you have rich parents or uncles or someone who's going to give you, even if someone gave me, 500,000, I could have really used that and propel into another area where I can concentrate on only 3 or 4 hats rather than wearing 25.
Yeah. James, what made you think that this was the moment to direct this film? At what point were you like, this is the time? Because you did the other one, right? You did Siblings first?
Yeah, I did Siblings first. I told myself I'm going to, because I had to kickstart this career out of nowhere. I mean, yes, I have a career and an Emmy certificate in sound and some filmmaking, but, when you start a new career, even if it's similar to something else, no one understands that. You have to come out hot and heavy, with a new career. So I wanted to make 3 films in 1 year. This July will be 2 years, and I hope that all 3 of them will be finished through post-production.
And you have one coming after this, right?
Yeah,
Can you talk about that one?
I just shot one called The Couple. It's a horror dark comedy. And this is the first one I didn't use SAG actors. I didn't want to do their SAG thing. So, but I found some really good actors. And again, I wrote it for my house. And the horror elements were done by a good friend of mine I've worked with on other projects before. So I already knew him. And we did these great horror things. And I'm editing now. I have an hour of a rough cut. And I'm halfway through is what I figure. And then, of course, I have to, another month of editing and honing it to get a locked picture and then do all the other stuff. And I hope that all those 3 will be done by July.
And it's so exciting, yeah. And then we're hoping film festivals, or you do rounds with film festivals afterward?
Well, with natural disorder things, I definitely want to do film festivals. It's a coming of age about a boy on the spectrum. And I think that's the film I'm most proud of, because comedy is going to be difficult to see how I think successful it'll be. If you have it and no one laughs, it's like you feel like you're dying. But
as a comedian, you did stand-up comedy too. You know how that is too.
But with a coming of age story being more of a dramatic thing, and I think I did it really well. I had a really good DP who I met on another set. Jan Uto just did an amazing job, and so I'm really, really excited about getting that out there. That would be my signature, even though I'm a full-fledged comedy.
No, it's amazing, and it's incredible that you put this together yourself, and you've done so much. You're going to be so proud when it does well.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any advice for any young filmmakers or actors or writers or song mixers who maybe want to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, there's something called, imposter syndrome. And believe me, that's going to haunt you your whole life, because, not your whole life, but in the beginning, I know so many people who were like, well, I wrote this script, but I've never been on set, and I don't know, I want to direct it, and like, my heart goes out to that person, but it's like, my 20 or 22 years on set made me be able to wear all the hats and do everything I do without it being some major problem. I mean, like the last one we just did, I had a DP who did her 5 hats she wore.
You were like
25. And I do everything else. Yeah. I had one person sit my dog so it wouldn't bark, basically. And we did everything. 2-camera shoot. So here's the thing. Get on set any way you can, because you're going to see how it runs, and you're going to feel less an imposter than you would if you've never been on a set. That is a guaranteed education, for one thing. The other thing is also watch what career you get into. I got into a production sound mixing career, which I loved, and it taught me a lot. But the thing is, what if I didn't do that and stuck to writing, directing? Would I be doing my first films now, or would I have done them 25, 30 years ago? I don't know.
But it led you here. I mean, you're like, now you can do so many things on this film, and it's all yours. So. Yeah. I'm happy about that. Yeah. So congratulations on those projects, and we hope it goes well. I think we covered your main projects, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where can we find you, your production, your website?
Yeah, jamesridgleyfilms.com, RIDGLEY. And I'm going to be in pre-production and crowdfunding for a new horror film called The Shed, which is again a personal story about a older man like me who has to make a decision in life. And anyway, it's a big
sounds
decision.
Terrifying.
And there's a monster involved.
The Shed.
The Shed. But Natural History of Disorder will be my first one that I'll get out.
That's so exciting, and such a great story, I assume. So, okay, it was so lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your time. We'd like to thank everyone at Maeya TV for watching, and we hope you stick around for our next one. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.